we're constantly assailed with the idea that newer is better. Newer is better. Young is what we should strive for, and we should spurn the old. In a society like this, we tend to feel guilty when a fit of nostalgia comes over us. But is this really how it should be? I mean, the old days still have a lot to teach us, and Jesus himself lived years and years ago. So for now, forget about the latest and greatest new styles and gadgets. Travel back in time with me to a Christmas fire, where we will listen to an old grandfather telling his grandchildren what Christmas was like when he was a boy. Listen as author Dylan Thomas recounts sketches from his own childhood in his book, A Child's Christmas in Wales. One Christmas was so much like another that I can never remember whether it snowed for 6 days and 6 nights when I was 12, or whether it snowed for 12 days and 12 nights when I was 6. It was the afternoon of the day of Christmas Eve, and I was in Mrs. Prothero's garden with her son Jim, waiting for cats. It was snowing. It was always snowing at Christmas. December, in my memory, was as white as Lapland, though there were no reindeer. But there were cats, patient, cold, and callous, our hands wrapped in socks. We waited to snowball cats. The wise cats never appeared. We were so still, Eskimo-footed Arctic marksmen in the muffling silence of the eternal snow, eternal ever since Wednesday, that we never did hear Mrs. Prothero's first cry from her igloo at the bottom of the garden, or if we heard it at all, it was to us the challenge of our far-off enemy and prey, the neighbor's polar cat. But soon the voice grew louder, "Fire!" And she beat a dinner gong, and we ran down the garden with snowballs in our arms, and smoke indeed was pouring out of the dining room, and the gong was bombulating, and Mrs. Prothero was announcing ruin like a town crier in Pompeii. This was better than all the cats in Wales standing on the wall in a row. We bounded into the house, laden with snowballs, and stopped at the open entrance of the smoke-filled room. Something was burning, all right. Perhaps it was Mr. Prothero, but he was standing in the middle of the room, saying, "A very fine Christmas," and smacking up the smoke with a slipper. "Call the fire brigade!" "They won't be there! It's Christmas!" There was no fire to be seen, only clouds of smoke, and Mr. Prothero standing in the middle of it, waving his slipper as though he were conducting. "Do something!" So we threw all of our snowballs into the smoke. I think we missed Mr. Prothero, and we ran out of the house to the telephone box. "Let's call the police as well, and the ambulance, and Ernie Jenkins, he likes fires." But we only called the fire brigade, and soon the fire engine came, and 3 tall firemen in helmets brought a hose into the house, and Mr. Prothero got out just in time before they turned it on. Nobody could have had a noisier Christmas Eve. And when they turned the hose off and were standing in the wet, smoky room, Jim's aunt, Miss Prothero, came downstairs and peered in at them. We waited very quietly to hear what she would say. She said the right thing, always. She looked at the 3 tall firemen standing in their shining helmets amidst the smoke and cinders and dissolving snowballs, and she said, "Would you like anything to read?" Years and years and years ago, when I was a boy, when there were wolves in Wales, and we sang and walled all night and day in caves, and chased the English and the bear. Before the motor car, before the wheel, before the Duchess-faced horse, it snowed, and it snowed. It snowed last year too. I made a snowman and my brother knocked it down, so I knocked my brother down and then we had tea. But that was not the same snow. Our snow was not only shaken from the whitewash buckets down the sky, it came shoaling out of the ground and swam and drifted out of the arms and hands and bodies of the trees. Snow grew overnight on the roofs of the houses and settled on the postmen opening the gate. Were there postmen then too? With sprinkling eyes and wind-churried noses. They would crunch up to the doors and mitten on them manfully. But all the children could hear was a ringing of bells. You mean the postman went rat-tat-tat and the doors rang? I mean that the bells the children could hear were inside them. I only hear thunder sometimes, never bells. There were church bells too. Inside them? No. In the bat-black, snow-white belfries tugged. by bishops and storks. Get back to the postmen! They were just ordinary postmen, fond of walking in dogs and Christmas and the snow. They would stand on the little white welcome mat in the little drifted porches and puff, making ghosts with their breaths. And then the presents! And then the presents, after the Christmas box. There were the useful presents, mittens made for giant sloths, and zebra scarves of a substance like silky gum that could be tug-of-war down to the galoshes, balaclavas for victims of head-shrinking tribes. From aunts who wore wool next to the skin, there were mustached and rasping vests that made you wonder how the aunts had any skin left at all. And once they had a little crocheted nose bag from an aunt now, alas, no longer whinnying with us. And pictureless books, in which young boys, though warned with quotations not to, would skate on Farmer Giles's pond, and did, and drowned. And books that told me everything about the wasp, except why. Go on to the useless presents! The useless presents. Bags of moist and many-colored jelly babies, and a false nose, and a tram conductor's cap, never a catapult. Once, by mistake that no one could explain, a little hatchet. And a celluloid duck that made, when you pressed it, a most unduck-like sound, a mewing moo that an ambitious cat might make who wished to be a cow, and easy hobby games for little engineers complete with instructions, easy for Leonardo, and a packet of cigarettes. You put one in your mouth, you stood at the corner, waiting hours in vain for an old lady to come by and scold you for smoking a cigarette, and then, with a smirk, you ate it. And then it was breakfast under the balloons. Are there uncles, like at our house? There are always uncles at Christmas. The same uncles. Some few large men who sit in the front parlor without their collars. Uncles almost certainly, smoking their new cigars. As though waiting for an explosion. I would blow up balloons to see how big they would get to, and when they burst, which they all did, the uncles jumped and rumbled. In the rich and heavy afternoons I would go out, my bright new boots squeaking, into the white world to call on Jim and Dan and Jack, and to pad through the still streets, leaving huge footprints on the hidden pavement. I bet people will think there's been hippos! What would you do if you saw a hippo? I'd go like this! Bang! And I'd throw him over the railing and roll him down the hill and tickle him on the ear, and he'd wag his tail. What would you do if you saw 2 hippos? And then we passed Mr. Daniel's house. Let's post Mr. Daniel a snowball through his letterbox. Let's write things in the snow. Let's write, Mr. Daniel looks like a spaniel all over his lawn. And I remember that once we went Christmas carol singing when there wasn't a shading of a moon to light the flying streets. At the end of a long road was a drive that led to a very large house, and we stumbled up the darkness of the drive that night, each one of us afraid, each one of us with a stone in his hand, in case, all of us too brave to say a word. The wind and the trees made noises as of old, unpleasant and maybe web-footed men, wheezing in caves. We reached the black bulk of the house. What shall we give them? Hark the herald? No! Good King Winchesters! I'll count 3. 1. 1. 2. 3. And we sang, our voices high and seemingly distant, around in the snow-felted darkness around the house that was occupied by nobody we knew. We huddled close together by the dark door, and then a small, dry voice, like the voice of someone who has not spoken for a very long time, joined our singing. A small, dry, eggshell voice from the other side of the door. A small, dry voice coming from the keyhole. And when we stopped running, we were outside of our house. Maybe it was ghosts! Maybe it was trolls! Dan was always reading. Let's go in and see if there's any jelly left. And we did that.